We bop and hippity hop. I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. Love is sweet, love is plan, work, run. We bop and hippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. I don't care. We bop and hippity hop. I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. Love is sweet, love is plan, work, run. We bop and hippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. I don't care. We bop and hippity hop. I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. Love is sweet, love is plan, work, run. We bop and hippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. I don't care.
All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Zenfolio Live. I am Robert with Zenfolio Customer Success, and I want to say thank you for joining us on the live stream today. We're going to be talking about branding and web design with Shari Warren of Warren Creative Design. We'll be going through and talking about what is branding versus just design. She's going to talk a little bit about logo conceptualization, about curating your work, giving us some SEO tips, and then we're going to kind of finish off with talking about a call to action. So really setting up your website with intention. So we're going to be talking about all of those things. Hey, if this is your first time hanging out with us, make sure you say hi to us in the chat and let us know where you're from. Shout out to some of you guys hanging out with us on YouTube. We've got Susan Woodward, John McCormick. Hey, John, how are you doing? Jennifer LaRoche, G. Calantes. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please make fun of me. And then over on Zoom, we've got Earl, Eduardo, Eric Young, Keith, Lloyd Gray, Lorraine, Phil, Susan, and Tim. Thank you guys for hanging out with us both on Zoom and on YouTube. You guys on YouTube, if you didn't know, you can register for Zenfolio Live. There's going to be links in the description below where you can actually get email reminders, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Hanging out with me today, taking care of you guys in chat, I've got the amazing Katie. She usually hangs out with us on Site Review Tuesdays, but she was kind enough to come jump in and hang out with me today here on Zenfolio Live. So make sure that you guys show her some love here in the chat. She's taking care of you guys both on Zoom and over on YouTube as well. So she's got her work cut out for her, but I think she can do it. Don't you guys give her any trouble. But please feel free to ask questions. As we're going through this, you guys are welcome to ask questions. Zenfolio questions, design questions, lots of questions. Get them in the chat now so we can get those answered for you guys live today. In the way of announcements, next week on Zenfolio Live, we are going to be talking about the green screen feature and how it is now mobile friendly. So I know there's a lot of you guys out there who are super excited about the green screen feature being now mobile friendly. We're going to be talking about that next week. week. As I mentioned earlier, you can get email reminders for both Zenfolio Live and Site Review Tuesday. So if you want to get email reminders, if you want to get the link to join us on Zoom, if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, whether you're watching live right now or watching the recorded version, you can sign up to get those email reminders. The link should be in the description below the video. You guys that are hanging out with us on Zoom, you've already registered. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us as well. Let's see. Go ahead and go check out the new page. It's been up for a little while. It's zenfolio.com/community/events. That's where you can go and you can find information about all of our upcoming live streams, as well as the group training sessions that we do. So on top of doing these live streams, there's also a series of group set training sessions that we do, and you guys can check out those on that page right there. I believe that link is also in the description below the video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're hanging out with us in Zoom, but maybe Katie will be kind enough to throw that link out in Zoom chat for you guys. Also, just as a final reminder, not a final reminder, but just as the last announcement, we are again encouraging you guys to share your favorite travel photos on social media. For one, let's share some beautiful images out there. Let's brighten up the social media feeds a little bit. There's a lot of dark stuff going on right now, and I would love to see you guys putting out some nice photos to really combat that. So make sure that you're sharing your beautiful images out there. Share something inspiring, brighten up somebody's day, and while you're doing that, use hashtag Zenfolio Photographers for a chance to be featured on one of our social media platforms. And I believe coming up, we're going to start featuring some of those images on here on our Zenfolio Live as well. So make sure that you guys are using that hashtag. Okay, well, she has worked as an art director and a designer. She's been helping Zenfolio users since 2011. She's a designer, a photographer, and she has helped over, I think she said, over 1,000 Zenfolio users with their site. Please help me welcome Shari Warren to Zenfolio Live. So Shari, if you want to go ahead and come on here, you can go ahead and turn your camera on and join us and say hi to everybody. There we go. Oh, let me unmute you. There you go. All right, Shari, thanks for jumping on here and hanging out with me today.
Yeah.
All right. So I talked a little bit about what you do and what you've done, but can you give us kind of an introduction, let people know, your background in design and photography, and just give us a quick introduction.
Sure. Well, first of all, just hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by today. Yeah, I started out actually as a Zenfolio customer. I had built websites by scratch, and I just got to the point I was just too busy with projects and didn't want to one more time build another website. And I found Zenfolio and saw how easy it was and how I could organize, and I'm just like, okay, this is perfect, and really just started working with it. I actually had fun in customizing my site. I think that was the biggest thing, is that, even though there are templates there, but I could really kind of push the boundaries of Zenfolio and just get creative, and had some fun with that. And I did reach out to Zenfolio to let them know how much I loved it and what I was doing. They got excited, got an invite to the office, met with the marketing team and the founders of the company at the time, and asked me to do some creative projects. We did, and then they asked me if I would start a consulting business to help Zenfolio customers who were struggling to really make their websites unique. And I'm like, why not? And it's been one of the best decisions. I've met so many wonderful photographers all over the world. Not only just, States, but I have customers in Australia and the United Kingdom, and my gosh, in Asia, and it's just really been a great experience. So, and I love helping my customers. So,
well, we really appreciate you having been with us since 2011. I mean, that's amazing. That relationship is just, it's invaluable. I know you offer a lot of different services. There's a lot of things that you do. You do some incredible logo designs, which I can't wait to talk about because logos is one of the things that I always talk to other photographers about whenever we're doing one-on-one sessions. They're always like, can I get somebody to help me do a logo? So I try to send a lot of people your way,
Thank
but
you.
it's one of the things I feel like sometimes as photographers, we're lost on sometimes the designing logos. I mean, there's some of us who have those really good design skills, and then some of us, it seems like. So I can't wait to talk about that. But really quick, or you don't have to do it really quick, but can you just kind of give us kind of an overview of all the different services that you offer specifically to Zenfolio users?
Sure, absolutely. So really, I offer two service. Well, two ways is that customers will come to me and maybe they've been on Zenfolio for a while. It's funny how I have photographer customers who will come to me and it's like, I haven't changed my website in 5 years. And I'm like, okay, so they just need a refresh. It's like, let's just take what we have, let's just totally refresh. Then I have customers who come and maybe it's their first website or their second, but they're really starting from scratch. Maybe they're starting a new business, which is kind of interesting, especially this past year. I've had a lot of customers who are like, you know what? I'm just going to start my photography business because who knows what's going to happen. So I really go from A to Z. A to Z, you come to me, you've got a blank canvas. Let's go. Let's take a look at, what your specialties are, what you enjoy doing. What are your goals? What are your business goals that you want to achieve with your website? And let's talk about your customers. And, really that starts our conversation so that we can talk about, we can look at the work that you've been doing, and we can kind of look at your competition and say, all right, we need to really be right up there so that you're also in the game. And so really my services are all the way from not only doing design, but I help customers curate their work, organize their galleries. Let's talk about the homepage. I help them with copywriting, doing some research, all the way to the design. And of course, if they don't have a logo, let's talk about a logo. We want you to look as polished as possible. And so really it's from A to Z. I do help them with the e-commerce for, depending on the type of photographer, whether they're a portrait photographer or a fine art or wildlife, and what their goals are. And I'll actually help you set up your products. I'm going to sit down and we go through all the pricing. Okay. And we research what are competitive prices? What are other photographers charging? So I will take them all the way A to Z until they're totally satisfied with their website. They know how to add a gallery. I really do handhold through the whole process.
Love it. Love it. It's amazing. And guys, if you have design questions, if you have any questions, get them in the chat so we can get them answered for you. One of the things I'm interested in is, let's say I am, I'm a hobbyist photographer, and for whatever reason, I am like, okay, it's time for me to take my photography and turn it into a business. Maybe it's because I'm tired of my day job. I've gotten to that point where I'm ready to just kind of push it over. I have no branding experience or anything like that. I'm just really good at doing, let's say portraits. And I contact you and I'm like, hey, I really want to take my business to the next level. I want to get my website professional looking. Where are you going to start that conversation? I know you kind of hinted on some of the topics, but kind of where do we start with that? How do you take people down the road to really get them to where they need to be to present themselves as a business?
Okay. Well, the first thing we do, like I said, we're going to talk about what their specialty is, and I'm going to look at their work. Okay. That is the first and foremost thing. I need to see your work, especially for those who are just starting. And in that case, that's where the curation really comes up. If we're talking, let's say if you are a portrait, okay, I want to do family photography. I also want to do maternity. I want to do, newborns. I want to do children. So let's take a look at your work. Do you have enough samples for a portfolio? Let's weed out, the ones that maybe aren't as good as some of the others. So that's where we'll start. We also will research in their area where they live, their competition. Okay. We need to know, okay, who's out there, who's successful, so that we can present your work and your website in the same fashion, so that you also look successful. Even if you're just starting out, you come out with a wonderful website that's modern, it's polished, you'll look like you've been doing this for years, even though you're just starting. So that's kind of where we will start. So if you're talking about, you were asking about logo, right?
Yeah, so I definitely want to get into the logo conceptualization process, but I love where you start out when you're asking about, let's take a look at your work, because it is important to see where
Yes.
they're at and their skills.
Yes.
But
Yes.
also too, you and I kind of talked about this a few days ago when we were kind of going over this. Also too, as photographers, sometimes we get really, I don't know, indecisive about our work, and we can't decide what images we want to show. And so I think we have this concept of erring on the side of caution of, I'm just going to show more. That way I can make sure that I cover all the angles. And I know that's something that you specifically have some thoughts about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, okay. So I say this to all my customers. Nobody reads and nobody has any patience. Okay. Let's just go right to the homepage. Pick out, you can show, if you show a slideshow or the photo strip, sure, you could show 50 images. Nobody's going to sit there. Pick your best 5. Number 1, what's your specialty? If it is whatever, children, or if it's going to be wedding or whatever it is, let's get those in the first 5 images, because that's where a visitor's going to come. They're going to make their decision whether they're going to stay or go. Okay. If they don't see it right then and there, you do that. The next thing, when we're talking about your portfolio and your different galleries, don't put 100 images. Nobody's going to scroll through it. I guarantee it. Curate, less is more. So, I always say, give me, I don't know, 25 to 35. If you think you have more, then let's take a look, and maybe we need to split that off into a different gallery. You don't want to put the whole kitchen sink in one gallery, because people don't have patience. You want some good flow. You want to make sure that the images, when they're shown together, make sense and tell a story of what your services are, your unique style. People just want to immediately see that before they hit the contact. So
love that. You mentioned the images telling a story. And I think as photographers sometimes too, when we're looking at our work, sometimes we have a hard time deciding, is this an image that I need to show in my portfolio? Is this an image? And then so many times I end up with portfolios where there's like a block of like 5 of almost the exact same image, but maybe girls turn slightly differently, or this, or that. And so what are some of the kind of the defining things when you're reviewing somebody's portfolio with them? What are some of the tips that you're like helping them decide between 2 images? What are some of the different things that you're looking at specifically to help them decide, like, okay, this one's good, but between these 2, let's go with this one because of this?
Okay, so I think that this seems to be something especially for brand new photographers, so they don't have a lot. So they'll have, like, let's say for portrait, they'll have like the same person. Oh, here it is in color. Here she is in black and white. Here she is turning this way. Here it is. And I'm like, no, let's, I'll tell you, let's pick the best one. Let's pick, the best one. If you do want to show a black and white, let's put that one next to it. But let's move on and show a little more variety, because then it does say you're a beginner. So let's try to do that. If you don't have that many images, let's make them a little bigger. Okay, let's make them, a bigger, so that there's that wow factor. I also, for photographers that have been doing this for a while, the other thing I ask when we're looking at their portfolio, and sometimes for the homepage, I go, what are the money shots? Show me the images that the customers are always asking you for. Okay. Where are those money shots? We need to show the money shots. Sometimes they'll say, oh, well, I did this really artistic thing and this and that. I go, okay, did somebody pay you for that? Well, no, but I thought it was really cool. Okay. Maybe that goes into a different gallery. Okay. Let's show, that's the best way, is like, what is it customers pay you for? and let's make sure we show those images and showcase them.
Love
Because
it.
it's all about making a living if you're doing the portrait, for sure.
Yes, love it. Great stuff. And you said a couple of things, but back to the homepage. When people are trying to decide what those money shots are, and let's say you have a photographer, maybe they've been a photographer for a while, and they're like, okay, well, I do weddings and I like the money that I get from weddings, but weddings also stress me out. I do portraits. I really love doing portraits and I really love doing dog pets. Are you recommending to them like showing up the best view of your image? I guess my question really is it better to present yourself as a photographer that specializes in a lot of different areas, or is it better for them to choose the type of work that they want to do and present that as who they are, and then obviously still show that they are doing other work, but that's not who they're presenting themselves as?
I think that's a really good question. I get it all the time. And that's a perfect example. I'll have somebody say, oh, I really love to shoot this. I love children. I love pets. I have done a wedding or so, but I don't like it. And I'm like, then don't show it. I mean, the minute you show a wedding picture, that's what you're going to get. If you don't want to do it, if you don't enjoy it, don't put it out there. Yeah, if somebody comes along and they say to you, hey, my sister's getting married and I really like your work, then you can make that decision. But if it's not the work that you want, then put out there what you love, because it's going to show in your photography. I get every single time. I can totally tell when somebody loves what they do. You can just see it in the style and in the photos. You can just see that photographer really is crafting those pieces.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that answer so many times, and I always like to ask people who are specialized in design and work with websites, what is your advice on that? And it seems like everybody puts the same answer out there. Whatever it is that you want to do, that's what you want to show, because those are the types of clients that you're going to attract. Love that answer. Really quick, I want to talk about, and this is something you and I were talking about the other day, branding versus design. And I know for some people, they might consider that that's kind of the same thing. For me, I kind of look at it as two different concepts. Like for me, branding is design with intention. But curious what your thoughts are. Do you have a definition? Do you define those differently?
Well, first of all, when you're branding yourself, I mean, you're coming out, you have a unique style, whatever your specialty is, whether you're architectural or real estate photographer or, a portrait, a maternity, fine art, you have a unique point of view, and your unique point of view should be reflected in the fonts that you choose for your materials, the colors that you might use, which goes into, using a logo and using those consistently with not only your website, but all of your materials, your business cards, any postcards, your social media, maybe your profile pics, whatever. You want to be consistent in how you present yourself. Rather than, I guess with design, everything can be designed, but you don't want it, oh, well, I'll use this font here and these colors on this site and then use this here on this other site. And it just it's almost like you don't have a point of view in presenting yourself. So that's really how I see branding, is that you're presenting your work, it's packaged, and you have a point of view.
And how important do you think it is for photographers to think about branding themselves? I mean, I feel like we're getting better about seeing ourselves as small businesses. I think for a long time we kind of struggled with that, but I feel like we are getting better at that. But how important is it that we think about branding and actually creating a brand for ourselves and our business, rather than just kind of going out there and being like, oh, this looks okay here. And like you said, how important is branding, do you feel?
I feel that when somebody decides to brand themselves, you're giving yourself permission to say, I'm a real business. I'm not just doing this for a hobby, throwing it here and there or whatever. I think you're taking that next level of you're like, you know what? I am serious about my work. I am going to brand myself so that people come to me. I'm unique and this is my business. And I think that's the difference.
I love that answer. Absolutely. When you're ready to stand out, that is what makes the difference for sure. I'm going to take a quick question from Zoom really quick. You guys keep throwing your questions out there. We see them. Typically, I kind of wait till we kind of finish the interview, but I think that this one is a pretty good question really quick. So this person, Steve, he's hanging out with us on Zoom. He kind of is asking the question, how can I make my site more visible, kind of specifically to art buyers? And I know we're going to start talking about SEO, which I think this is kind of a good segue into that. So for somebody who's doing, I'm assuming that you're doing like landscape photography, maybe Steve, not 100% sure, but for somebody who's doing photography that is not for a direct client, but more reliant on people, what are some tips that you have to get their site more visible to those kinds of art buyers?
Ooh, I love this question. I have a total background in licensing. I'm an illustrator as well as do photography. And I have licensed my work. I actually licensed some photography through a wall decor manufacturer who sold into Pure One. And that was just like awesome. I get a lot of landscape and fine art people who do want to get into looking for art buyers. Which can be also like at a commercial level, if you want to get into, they're looking to get into working with interior designers, architects, who also they'll have big projects too, not just for residential, but for commercial projects in healthcare. I mean, when you go to, let's say you go to not just a doctor's office, but let's say a healthcare facility, a hospital, they have the most gorgeous photography and artwork. Well, people actually do that for a living. So there are ways, definitely, and I've worked with photographers in researching. It all comes down to researching, looking for who that customer is, because it is finding the customers. But there's definitely a market for art buyers, and it's just kind of having a vision, taking a look at your photography, what you love to do, and imagining, where do you see that? Do you see that in the lobby of a big corporate building? All right, you do. Let's find out, who are those art consultants in your area that you could reach out to, who, all that kind of stuff. So that, yes, that's definitely a whole track. And I deal with that a lot in a lot of photographers.
Love that. And then when it comes to SEO specifically for things like that, is it just about making sure that your images have the right keywords? Like, what specifically for Zenfolio sites, what do you focus on when it comes to like keywords for somebody who's trying to get their work more visible?
Okay, well, I think that if, I don't know if you want to share screen. I think I did a little keyword exercise, and I do this with my customers.
Yeah, let me get that popped up here for you.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so, well, in this case, I did it for just a family wedding photographer. But one of the things is, and everybody can do this, and I take my customers through this, is first of all, put keywords into a search that you think customers might put in to look for your services. So right there, you can put in this case, I put in San Jose wedding family photographer. Okay. You'll notice as you're typing that, Google will drop down and they'll give you suggestions. And those suggestions are basically what other people have searched for. So you're like, oh, that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about, oh, Napa. Yeah, I cover Napa too. Maybe that should be a good keyword. So this is really, it doesn't cost you anything when you're first searching for trying to get that visibility. Okay. And then if you can scroll up or scroll down, Robert. So the next thing you'll see is that when you do a keyword search, okay, let's see who comes up on the first page. Now, of course, you're going to get lots of Yelp and some of those things, but I always like to look at the individual photography businesses that come up, okay? And so the blue link that you see there is going to be the homepage title. Well, look at the keywords that are in the homepage title. I see the word San Jose and I see the word wedding. The gray text that you see there is the website description. You can see the keywords are in bold, right? In the gray text. So we've got Bay Area, we got wedding, photography, wedding, family, photographer, San Jose. So those are in the website description. Okay. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how they crafted that. And then if you scroll down again to when you're in Zenfolio, okay, you're going to go in Zenfolio into your account, go to website, and go to search engine optimization. Well, look how this text is crafted. It's right there in Zenfolio. The homepage title right there. And I've highlighted San Jose, wedding, photographer. Those are the keywords you want to put in there with your name. And then under your website description, those keywords again that you want to get found for, write them right there with your description. Okay. Google's going to cut you off at about 2 sentences. So get those keywords in that first sentence. You also want to write in a sentence. Don't stuff it. Okay. Google is pretty smart and they will definitely look for sentences. So, don't get too crafty, just craft your sentences basically. So to me, this is one of, other than of course, there's your homepage text and then any introductions to your galleries and writing your descriptions and titles for your images. This is like really super important right here in Zenfolio.
I'm laughing because I'm wondering where my Site Review Tuesday crowd is, because this is something that I talk about at least twice every single Tuesday. We talk about the homepage title and the website description, because this is one of those settings that usually when we create the accounts, we create it right at the very beginning, and then we forget to go back and really update this when we understand how important this is. So every single Tuesday, this is something that I reiterate at least twice when I'm doing site reviews. And I'm so glad that you talk about how important this is, because it's monumentally important.
Yeah, I do this with every customer, and actually we'll either, we'll do like a Zoom and we'll do share screen. We actually go through the Google. I said, okay, open a new browser. Let's go to Google. Let's pick out some more, because everybody's different depending on their photographic specialty. So I said, let's pick out some keywords and let's do this together and see what comes up. And we'll take some screenshots. And this really, it's like the light bulb goes off like, oh, of course, this is so easy, relatively speaking, but at least it gives us somewhere to start. Then we go back and we start writing the homepage title and website description.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so this is one of those things too. We have to remind people, like, your website is not a one time and done kind of thing. It's something that you do have to evolve. You have to keep up with the times, obviously, and you have to go back, you have to update your portfolio. And so your keywords as well, right? Your business might evolve. Search terms might change and evolve. So how often do you kind of recommend going back and just kind of doing an audit of this stuff and making sure that you have it up to date, that it is saying the keywords that you want to target?
I think if you think in quarters, okay, like a couple of times a year, unless you're really updating a lot, and especially for those photographers that have clients, you're constantly updating, right? Hopefully you're shooting a lot, you got a lot of client galleries. Well, you're right there that you can kind of take a look. But I would say every couple of months, it's always good to sit down with your website. Again, check out your competition. Is there anything going on? Maybe there's a new service. Maybe there's something going on just, in our culture that like, oh, that could be something I could add to my services. Hey, why not build a page? And, whether it's a custom page or another gallery, maybe, include that in your homepage as one of the photos. So I think it's always good to just, keep working it. The wonderful thing about a website is that it's instant. You get an idea, go change it, bring it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a question I'm seeing in chat really quick from 410 Aerial Photography and Inspection. He said that if you update your SEO, is it detrimental to your SEO? Does it hurt your SEO? So if you are updating it, does that have any kind of negative impact or effect on your SEO?
Well, I mean, I know enough about SEO to get me in and out of trouble. Definitely, if you want to go really super in depth, I mean, you can reach out to me. I'm in a lot of business groups on Facebook having to do with photography and SEO. And I am constantly reading because things are changing all the time. I do actually in my Google account, which all of you can go into your Google account. They have great help articles, some best practices. I know that, you don't want to change it up so much that you're not getting any traction, and you kind of know what it is you want to rank for, if you're knowing who your customers are. But, that being said, especially those of you who are blogging is a great way to also increase your SEO and to get found. And so that's also another way if you want to change it up or try something new, try it in a blog post and see if you can rank for some of those new keywords.
Absolutely. Absolutely. While we got the screen share going, I want to talk about logos really quick because if you guys haven't checked her site out by now, she has some really amazing logos. And again, you guys can find the link to this if you're on YouTube. You can find it below in the description of the video. And if you're on Zoom chat, I'm sure Katie is throwing that link out, but I'm actually going to throw that out right now as well because she does some pretty amazing logo designs. And I want to kind of chat with you about logos really quick. Like what kind of elements do you think like make up a good logo? While you're kind of giving that answer, I'm going to just scroll down and let people kind of.
Yeah, first of all, logos are so personal. And depending on the type of photography that you shoot, I mean, they can be, serious and elegant and beautiful to even maybe whimsical, especially if you do a lot of kids stuff. Sometimes just the essence of the whimsy, if you do a lot of wildlife. So really a logo can go in a lot of different directions and can be very personal. There's a couple of these logos that I've done that as far as being personal, like for instance, I know that like with the Tristan Johns one, she lives in Texas and she just loves cactuses and succulents, and she has a whole garden, and this really meant a lot to her to have that as part of her logo. And so that is based on, for the most part, when I create the logos, I try to base it on the photographers on one of their photos, and we'll go through the photos and find that one. The Touched by Nature, this little bluebird, actually, this one I did recently, from a customer from Montana. And this is based on one of his most popular photos where he has this bluebird on a wire, and it's like one of his biggest sellers. And so he really wanted that as an icon as part of his logo. So, as you can see here, some of these images definitely in the logo are really based on representing, the photographer's work and kind of their point of view. And like I say, I try to, as much as possible, where there is a graphic, I try to base it on one of their photos because it just makes it that much more personal.
Love it. Yeah, I think I pointed this out to you the other day. I said, thank you for all the logo designs without an aperture symbol in there.
Yes. You're welcome.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the aperture symbol, but it's gotten a little overused. And one of the purposes of branding yourself and creating custom logos is so that your business stands out. And it's hard to do that when you're using something that everybody else is using.
Well, not only that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with clip art. Okay. Nothing wrong with it. But it seems to be the go-to for photographers and getting that aperture as part of the logo, which I think is fine if you want to take it in a different direction. I think that's okay. So it does say photography, but There's also, I think there's other images you could explore as well that could really also tell your story in a different way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, Shari, I think you and I are going to take a really quick break.
Sure.
I know we've talked about a lot of stuff. There is a lot more stuff we can talk about, but I do want to leave time to make sure that we get to all these questions that everybody's been asking. So, guys, if you have questions for Shari, make sure you're getting those into the chat. Our moderator is going to be passing those off to me. Shari and I are going to take a quick break. I'm going to gulp down some. I think I have coffee today instead of tea, but I'm going to get some coffee and some water. We're going to let Katie jump on here and say hi to you guys. And then Shari and I will be back here in just a few minutes.
Speaking of moderators, welcome to Zenfolio Live. This is Katie, your helpful moderator, filling in for your usual Dennis and Richard Flair on Zenfolio Live for Thursday. Actually, I just told them they couldn't do it and that I would be doing it because I wanted to learn from Shari today. I'm so glad that you've joined us to learn more about the tools that you have available to optimize your site. And speak for myself, of course, but I think we're all really glad that Shari is here to give us her insights from the many years that she has worked designing and building Zenfolio sites. 2011 is not yesterday. Shari has definitely been around the block when it comes to Zenfolio sites, so I'm learning a lot. I hope that you all are learning a lot. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the YouTube chat or in the Q&A section of the Zoom window. And Atala, you can send me compliments wherever you want, Atala, in Zoom chat just now. So I did want to let you guys know, usually I am in charge of figuring out what's going on with giveaways. So keep an eye out for giveaways that we have during our broadcast. Also, if you find this helpful, we really love hearing from you. It really warms all of our hearts. Word gets around. You can leave reviews for Zenfolio on Facebook and Google. And I hope that you will all show Robert and Shari some love by leaving us a comment, a nice comment on the video on YouTube. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and just let us know in chat if you're getting anything out of this. If you have any questions, let us know. And now I'm gonna pass it back off to Robert and Shari to find out what else they have for us in store.
All right. Thank you so much, Katie. Again, Katie does such an awesome job helping me every single Tuesday for site reviews. And then she was kind enough to jump on. I don't know if she really did kick Richard and Dennis off to take it over or not. I think she might have. I'm not sure. But she does such a great job helping me out, taking care of you guys on both Zoom and YouTube. Okay, Shari, we got quite a few questions to go over. But before we hit any questions, again, you guys, if you want to reach out to Shari, have her look at your site, maybe see what she can do for you and your Zenfolio site, or if you're in need of a custom logo, make sure that you go visit that link in the description below the video if you're on YouTube. And I know Katie has thrown that link out in chat several times for you guys on Zoom. Shari would love to talk to you. As you can see, she's an easy person to talk to, really easy to work with. So definitely give her a shout if you are needing some design help or a logo design or something like that. All right, let's go ahead and grab a question here. This one is from, I believe this is from Tom on Zoom. He says, do you find that a Zenfolio site can be a real standalone presence, or do you find that most photographers have other sites that link to Zenfolio galleries?
I find that photographers will have other sites that link to their Zenfolio. I don't mean other websites more than, you need to let the world know you're there. If you're not on social media, get on it. You need to really promote yourself and link to that and get that visibility. Yes, having the website and doing your keywords and all that, for sure, that will help. But I think it really helps that the more active you are, whether it's, using your Facebook or your Twitter or your Instagram or Pinterest, get it out there. And start posting your images with links back to your Zenfolio site, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to reiterate on that. Zenfolio definitely can give you everything that you need for a website, but if you are just depending on that website by itself, you are missing out on so many free tools that are available to you, such as Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. So the more I'm trying to say it without saying it like I'm from Oklahoma, even though I am from Oklahoma. The more lines that you have out in the sea, the more fish you are going to catch. Maybe that will work for you guys. So you definitely want to make sure that you are kind of using all of the tools that are available for you. Great question though. All right, this question's from Robert on YouTube. He says, all of my prints are in the 3:2 aspect ratio. While setting up my price list, I get the message, cropping is centered. Is it okay? How do I get rid of that? So Robert, so that would depend on a couple of things. First of all, I'm not sure if you're saying all of your prints, and as far as if all of the products that you have actually put on your price list are in the 3:2 aspect ratio. Hopefully that's what you're referring to, because that is a setup that I definitely recommend. Just building your price list based on aspect ratio is gonna help you with so much having not trouble with things being cropped off. But if you're getting that message that says cropping is centered, is it okay? You might want to check your price list options and make sure that the cropping is actually turned off. So I'm going to share my screen really quick and just kind of show you what I mean by that. Shouldn't take too long to get in there. But here I am in my Zenfolio account. And if you just go to your price list, there is an option in the settings in here where you can allow cropping or you can turn it off. And so if you go in here and you go to this little gear icon right up here, if you have built your price list based on aspect ratio, and then if your images match that aspect ratio, which I think that's kind of what you're referring to, because again, this is a workflow that I do talk about quite a bit, you're going to want to take this cropping option and just set it to fit. All right, instead of letting the client crop, that's where that centered message is coming from, because whenever that setting is set to let the customers crop, and then if they don't choose a crop, it does say that centered option. So you just want to go in here and set this to fit, and that should get rid of that message that you're seeing there. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. Good question though. Great question. All right, let me grab the next one here really quick. So this one is from Zoom, from Pat. She says that nobody has responded to my website since I built it through Zenfolio more than 2 years ago. Please tell me what I need to be doing and what I'm not doing to generate and attract customers. The page has, and I'm trying to expand this so I can read it all because it's a long one. The page there is a page that has nothing on it, but I don't know how to get back to that page to add content. So in order to kind of answer that specific, we would probably need to look at your site, but I'm sure Shari has just some general tips to get you started on getting traffic to your site.
It would be great to know what type of photography she does.
Let me see if I can get her site pulled up really quick. It's patbartonphotography.com. Let me see if I can get it pulled up really quick. Great question though. Photography.com.
And then the first question, yeah, well, let's take a look and then see if there's text for the homepage.
Yep. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and just share it so you can see this. So here's the site right here.
Oh, Colorado. Yay.
So here's the site. And if I pull this down, we can kind of take a look. So up here, again, going back to what you were talking about earlier, it doesn't really matter the text that you have up here in a sense of this space, but this is that homepage title that Shari was talking about before. So what you want to do, the very first thing that you probably want to start out with, Pat, is you want to go into your account, go up to your name right here, click on account. And then I would start by going down to website, search engine optimization right here. And here's where you're going to find that homepage title. So you can, I didn't do a good job on the description, but you can kind of see some information that I have in that title. And that's probably where I'm guessing that Shari's going to say she would have you start, is adding more information in here.
That, and if you go back to her site, there's no text on the homepage.
Right. So welcome message, those kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, basically for your welcome, again, you do not have to write a novel. I mean, put the name of your business, okay? Talk about and name your specialties. So if you're let's say a landscape photographer, or landscape nature photographer, fine art photographer, featuring scenes from Colorado, think of those keywords that if somebody is looking for your type of photography, get it in your website home title, description, and at least some welcome text on your homepage. That's a great start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, we got like 10 minutes left, you guys. Plenty of time to answer questions. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this next question up here. This one is from Joshua on Zoom. He says, what about incorporating video in the landing pages on Zenfolio, making it video friendly? So I do know on the homepage, you do have the option to show video. Now, one of the things that I always like to caution people with is right now, the internet is kind of at war with autoplay content. Specifically, browsers do not like it when somebody goes to a website and music or videos instantly start playing, because you'll go to those sites a lot of times that have the little ads and stuff that pop up, and we as people get annoyed by that. And so that is the one thing that I like to caution people with when you look at having like autoplay content like videos and stuff like that. But you can definitely show videos on the Zenfolio homepage. You can definitely use custom pages to show video content as well. So there's lots of options for video in your Zenfolio account. It just really depends on what you're looking to do. What about Shari? Do you have any tips for video?
Just basically, yeah. I mean, I think that what you're talking about, as far as having things autoplay, I haven't really, I mean, I do have customers that do shoot video. I'm working with one now who it's going to be fun because a majority of a site is going to be video based. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that one of the things that also can be a problem, as far as internet, and not everybody has a great connection. So the worst thing is to come right to your website and then the connection's not great, so it doesn't play, or it kind of stop and start. So, I would be a little bit strategic with having that, especially right on the homepage.
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree. All right. Our next question. This is from Lynn. Hey, Lynn, hanging out with us on YouTube. He says, I've used Uber Suggest for keyword searches in the past. Is that a credible resource? Are you familiar with Uber Suggest? I'm not. Are you familiar with it?
I've tried a number of those different kind of suggestions. I mean, I think there's lots of tools. I think it depends on what type of specialty you have and what customers do you want to attract. You can try some of those. Hey, compare it with just doing a live Google search. I mean, I showed you in those screenshots, it's right there. You can see, and Google in that drop down, they'll show you what other people have searched for. You can't get any more free than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And YouTube's a good place as well. I know you think it's weird looking on YouTube for keywords for photographers, but the number one search engine in the world is Google. Google owns YouTube, and YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world. And so going there and using those auto suggest keywords are huge. And that really, like, honestly, the best advice is when she was talking about doing those searches and seeing the keywords, and then also looking at what other people use. A tool that I do recommend sometimes, Lynn, is Google Trends as well. You can go to Google Trends and actually compare keywords, and it's a good place to go. So if you go check out Google Trends, it's a free tool that you can use that's provided by Google that will help you with that as well. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with Uber Suggest either, so I really couldn't tell you if that's a credible source or not. Great question, though. Thanks for hanging out with us, Lynn. Let's see how much time we have. We had a little bit more time. Next question. This is from Pat on Zoom again. She said, how do I go about blogging and where do I put the blogs? So that is a great question. You can blog right in your Zenfolio account. Let me actually share my screen really quick and I'll show you where you can do that. So in your Zenfolio account, if you hover right over website, we actually have a built-in blog for you right in here that you can use. So you're just going to click on blog. And then this is where you can go in and do blogging right in here. So you can actually schedule blog posts. You can click add a new one, type up your blog post, and then schedule it to publish. You can write in a meta description. You can put in keywords. So it's actually built right into your Zenfolio account there for you. It's available. And as far as things that you want to write about in your blog post, you want to talk about what you're doing, right? One of the main reasons to have a blog is to show people that you are active, you're actively doing stuff, that you're still in business, and that you know your industry. And it's also kind of gives you just another place to put text information out there for search engines as well. So it's right there in your Zenfolio account. Shari, do you have any tips for blogging at all?
Yeah, I actually, yeah, a lot. Some of my, this is really great, especially for if you do a lot of events and wedding photographers. A lot of them will partner, again, since March. I know things are a lot different now with the pandemic and all, but a lot of them, when they're blogging, will also be sure to include locations, like event locations. And a lot of wedding people, they'll actually have a custom page for resources. So there'll be some cross-linking between, let's say, some of the locations that, let's say, is a wedding venue. They'll have a link for the photographer site, and the photographer will also have a link then for the venue site. So if you're one of those photographers where you're using services of other businesses in your area, whether it's hotels or venues or florists or makeup people, that's all, number one, that's a great thing for SEO and for kind of getting your ranking to get some of those cross links. And really, it's if you can be strategic, businesses helping each other, and those are really good for using your blog as well. Is that you're kind of partnering with other businesses to do your work, and my wedding people tell me that's a lot of times what they'll use their blog for sure.
Love it. Great answers. Love those answers.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. This is from Pat again in Zoom. So this question is, where do you put a logo in the tech part of the website or somewhere else? So I'm not going to have time to show you. There's so many different places to do it, Pat. So what I will say is if I can get Katie, there is a live stream that I did. It's going to be probably a couple months back, but basically we covered every spot that you can put a logo on Zenfolio. And actually in the description of that video, there is a download that you can download, and it has a PDF that includes all of the logo sizes as well as like some logo template sizes for Photoshop. So if I can get Katie to throw the link out for that in Zoom for you, Pat, and if you get the link, you might as well throw it out on YouTube as well, Katie. I'm sure they would love that. Definitely check that live stream out as well. And you can always reach out to Shari and she can help you with that stuff as well. So Shari helps with all of that stuff as well. Next question from Tom, and we got about 5 more minutes. So maybe we see how many questions we got. We're going to have to book it. Tom says, is there a market for candid street or lifestyle photography? What do you think? That's a hard question to answer.
I think there is, if you look at, especially nowadays, there's a lot of people who need to create a lot of content. Okay. I mean, they're social media people, and they're constantly looking for fresh images to create content. So there are some stock photography sites, as well as which there's like Shutterstock and some of those, but there's also other services such as like Canva. I was just looking at the other day, they're always looking for fresh photographs that their customers who need to design to promote their businesses are always looking for street photography, something kind of cool and different. So, definitely look at those businesses and services that are helping people create content. And I think that could be a really great resource for you. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Lynn says, do your services include marketing collateral as well as digital?
Yes, yes,
Ooh,
yes.
great question. Nice
Yes,
question,
yes,
Lynn.
yes. I help people all the time. If you want to show, can you just show really quick my site one more?
Sure. Yeah. Let me get
Remember
it.
the one page, just for some examples.
Which page you want me to go to? The customer gallery?
I think I sent you a link. I don't have it visible for
Right here.
branding examples.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there we go. Yeah, so I'm a designer. I'll design anything. I'm also an illustrator. So, this is just an example of, let's say, a branding kit using a logo, the different ways it could be used, whether it's for your business cards, a style guide. I do help people with, if they want for a new profile or banner pick for, their Facebook page. Yeah, you name it. I can totally help you with whatever you need.
Love it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
anything graphic. These are just some examples.
Very cool. Let's see. Really quickly, what is the main software that you use to design your logos?
Illustrator.
Illustrator. Okay. Let's see.
And a pencil and paper.
Pencil. You do the old school way. I love it.
Well, when I'm sketching ideas, yeah. I mean, a lot of, yeah, I'm a little old school as far as yeah. So, but I'll prepare them in Illustrator. And the reason I do that in Vector is so that you could scale it. Okay.
Yes.
If somebody and whether you go through me or you go through somebody else, if they do not give you your logo in a vector format, they're doing you a disservice, because you need that logo to look great, really tiny, as well as really big, in case, down the road you're doing shows, you need a big banner, you need your logo, you want to put it on your car or van, you really need that scalability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So important that you have that stuff be vector images so you can do exactly what she's just saying. Jennifer LaRoche. So we have like 1 minute left. So let's see. I'm going to give you a challenge. Jennifer LaRoche says, what are your top advanced SEO tips for a crowded market in less than 30 seconds?
My tips?
Yeah.
How about you have them? Fill it out. That's my top tip. And like you say, like we saw the other customers, like things were not filled out.
Yes.
I mean, really, that is my top. My top tip is, what is your specialty? Name it in your, like I said, in your text. If you don't have any text on your website, you're not going to get found. But Bing and Google, they can only read text. So write it. You don't have to write a novel, but get those keywords in that you want to get found for.
And for like a crowded market too, Jennifer, what I would say is find what sets you apart from everybody else and push that aspect. That's what I would definitely suggest. John McCormick, do font styles make a difference to search engines for ranking?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the style, but I will say from a usability point of view, be real careful with using cursive. There's some beautiful fonts. I do use them for some customers as like for maybe accent places or headers and all that. But for the most part, think about people who are using their phone. Okay. Think about people who are over 40. Come on, let's not make it hard for people to read your website. So
Yes.
I just want to kind of throw that in from a design point of view, that you can choose a nice looking font, but make sure it's readable.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So important. So important. All right. It's 3. We're going to have to hop off here, but do you have anything that you would like to leave everybody with? Any final thoughts or anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for coming. I do want to share that I am happy to, if you want to reach out and talk, I do offer free consultation. Let's have a phone call. Let's have a conversation really quick. Let's take a look at your work, your site, and I'll tell you right there and then what I can do to help you if I can. And if things aren't working for you, instead of struggling with it, either reach out to me. If I don't know, if it's something really Zenfolio related, reach out to support. They're always happy to help you as well. But if you don't struggle, there are people out there such as myself and Zenfolio support. We're here to help you be successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everybody's saying an hour's not long enough. They want you to come back. So I'm sure we can probably talk to Shari again.
All right, well, twist my arm, I will.
Shari, thank you so much for spending this hour with me. You have gave us some tremendous information. You guys, don't forget again, her link is going to be in the description below the video if you're hanging out on YouTube. If you're in Zoom, I know Katie has thrown that link out several times for you guys. I'll also try to make sure that I get that in the follow-up email as well. If you're wondering where you can go to watch the recording of this, is going to publish on our YouTube channel probably in a couple of hours after we finish up here. So there is a Zenfolio live stream archive. You can go to our YouTube channel and find that out. Thank you again to everybody who hung out with us today. Let's see. Let me shout out some of you guys on YouTube. Corey Woods, Lloyd Gray, I gotta say it right. Lloyd Gray, Jennifer, Odin Mina Photography, Robert DeSosa, John McCormick, Michael Sharir, maybe I'm saying it right. Hopefully I am. Zach Hewitt, Ian Vaughn Photography. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on YouTube. And then here on Zoom, we've got Attila, Carolyn, Kristen, Earl, Eduardo, Joshua, Kathleen, Kelly, Lorraine, Michael, Pat, Steve, Tim, Tony, and Tony, 2 Tonys. Nice. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget, we do site review Tuesdays every single Tuesday on our channel, so make sure you come and check that out. It's going to be the same time as we did Zenfolio Live today, except it'll be on Tuesday. So that's Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Maybe I can even convince Shari to come hang out with us on one of those site reviews and get some of her feedback. That might be fun as well. To. But don't forget about that. And then next week on Zenfolio Live, we are going to talk about green screen being mobile friendly. So make sure you guys come back for that one. Until next Tuesday, make sure that you guys have a wonderful, safe weekend. Do something kind for somebody, encourage somebody, lift somebody up. Let's all work together to make this world a better place, because it could really, really use that right now. I'll see you guys again on Tuesday. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Shari.
Bye-bye.